Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of September. So September is, I think, my worst quote-unquote reading month. I did only read 8 books this month. I did go on vacation, that was definitely a factor, and so although 8 books is a lot, I'm not saying that that's not a lot of books, but for me, that is lower than my norm. I usually read about 12 to 15 books a month, so today's wrap-up might be a little bit shorter. However, every time I say that, my wrap-up always ends up being like 20 plus minutes long, so we shall see. But I am super excited to talk about the books that I did read this month because I found some new faves and I'm excited to share them with you. All right, first up, the first book that I read in the month of September was Beach Read by Emily Henry. If you do not know, this is a super popular contemporary romance. This follows 2 authors, Gus and January. January writes romance novels, Gus writes literary fiction. They were college rivals and they run into each other several years later. They are both in writing slumps and decide to switch genres for the summer to see if they can get out of it, and a romance blooms. I was so nervous about reading this book. If you don't know, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry is one of my favorite romances of all time. I absolutely love it. But Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which came out in May, I did not like it. It did not work for me at all. I really did not enjoy that book. And so I was very scared to read this because a lot of people do compare this more to Book Lovers than People We Meet on Vacation. I was very pleasantly surprised though. I absolutely loved this book. I feel like this book is a good marriage between Book Lovers and People We Meet on Vacation, and I really connected with these characters. I love January so much. I related to her a lot. And Gus, oh my god, Augustus Everett. He is a king. I love him so much. Their relationship was so sweet and like heartwarming, and I was just so excited every time we saw like a morsel of them talking. I got so excited. I was so invested in their relationship development, and I really enjoyed everything about this book. Like, I have no complaints. I had so much fun reading this. It was such a quick read, and I'm so glad because after disliking Book Lovers, I was afraid, like, is Emily Henry going to be a one-hit wonder for me? But this proves that she is not, and so I am excited for her new book coming out next year. I believe it's called Happy Places. I'm excited. I'm an Emily Henry fan, and this book just solidified that. Oh, and if you're wondering what I rated this book, I gave it 5 stars, which nobody is more shocked than I, but I was very happy to give this book 5 stars. It was fantastic. The next book that I read in the month of September is Lightlark by Alex Aster. This is a YA fantasy romance. It was super popular on BookTok, and I wanted to try it out because I heard a lot of mixed reviews. This book follows our main character, Isla. She lives in a world where all of these different realms exist. She's the ruler of the Wildlings realm, and every 100 years, all of the rulers of different realms fight to the death to try to break a curse that has fallen upon their land. We also follow Isla as she sort of falls into this love triangle, and there's just a lot of other things going on. I actually really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 4 stars. I do have some criticisms of this book as far as the pacing of the novel and some of the writing style. I did do a dedicated reading vlog to this book. Go ahead and check that out if you want more detailed thoughts. But overall, I really liked this book and I had a lot of fun with it. I just think sometimes a book can exist to just be a fun time, and that's it. And like, this doesn't have to serve any other purpose than being just a lot of fun, a quick, fun read. And I am excited by this book. I'm excited by this series. The second book comes out next year, and apparently this is getting turned into a movie, which I think that it will do very well adapting from page to screen. I really think this is fun. It's not going to be a 4-star for everyone, but I had a good time, and that's all I'm taking from it, and I really enjoyed it. So I do recommend this book if you are looking for a YA fantasy romance. It was very fun. The next book I read in the month of September is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This was my 3rd reread of this book. I didn't actually physically read it. I listened to the graphic audiobook of ACOTAR, and it was a very interesting experience. I loved it. So if you don't know, the graphic audiobooks are full cast narration with sound effects, music, everything. Their catchline is a movie in your mind, and I definitely think that that is accurate. I really enjoyed that listening experience. I will say though, I don't recommend it if you are a first-time reader of this series. If you have never read the series, I don't necessarily think that you should listen to the graphic audios, only because it is a dramatization. So normally in an audiobook, you know, they just read the book and that's what the audiobook is. But in this, they act out some of the things that are written in here, and you don't get some of those finite details that you get from reading the book. I don't think it necessarily makes the experience of the story worse, but I just think that if you're going to read this, you should either just listen to the traditional audiobook or read it so that you get all of the little nuances nuances, all of the little pieces of the story, because some of them are not highlighted in that audiobook. I didn't realize that when I started the graphic audio, and I was reading along at first, but then I slowly realized like, oh, they just skipped an entire paragraph because they kind of just acted it out instead. But if you didn't really know what was going on, you might not quite understand. I don't know. That's my opinion. I just didn't think that that listening experience really boded well and did well with physically reading. But regardless, it was very, very fun, and I'm glad that I listened to it. And of course, I gave this 5 stars. Obviously, we know this. The next book I read was These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is a YA fantasy romance. It is the first book in a duology, I believe. Our main character's name is Bree. Her twin sister gets sold to the Unseelie Court King by their evil aunt, and so Bree has to go rescue her sister, so she enters the fairy realm, has to find her sister, and she ends up striking a deal with the Unseelie King, and basically he asks her to go find relics in the Seelie Court that he believes they stole. Along the way, she does fall into a love triangle with a blonde love interest and a dark-haired love interest. This book gets compared to The Cruel Prince and ACOTAR. I definitely see the Cruel Prince comparison a lot more than ACOTAR. The ACOTAR comparison I think is just like a blonde and a brunette love interest, but I definitely see the Cruel Prince aspects with the court systems and the Fae, and then also Bree ends up having this kind of ragtag team of assistants the same way that Jude did in The Cruel Prince. I did really enjoy this book. I gave it 3 stars. But it was a high enough 3-star that I wanted to continue on with the series. I did end up buying the second book, which is These Twisted Bonds, and I am going to be reading that soon. This is not amazing, but like, it was fun. You know, I'm not totally obsessed with our main character. I wasn't completely in love with some of the storyline and the relationships, but I am excited about this book, and I'm curious to see where the next book goes. I think it's like a solid YA fantasy, but I don't think it's like the best thing I've ever read. Switching gears here, the next book that I read in the month of September is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This is Ali Hazelwood's second novel. Her first book was The Love Hypothesis, a book that I did not enjoy. I gave it 2 stars, and I honestly don't know if I would have picked this book up if not for my friends loving it, getting so excited about it, and peer pressure is a hell of a drug. So I ended up picking up this book, and I am so glad I did. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I gave this book 5 stars. I loved every single second of this book. This is a true rom-com. I loved it. It's definitely cheesy and corny, has those moments, but overall, I thought this was such a sweet story. I had so much fun with this couple, and I honestly had such a good time. This book follows Bee and Levi. Bee and Levi were college rivals, I think, during their graduate program. Fast forward several years later, they end up having to work together on this NASA project. Bee thinks that Levi hates her, and so they go from academic rivals to lovers over the course of this book. I really, really liked how lighthearted and fun this book was. It was a very, very quick read, and I don't know, I'm so excited by this book, and it definitely makes me want to pick up future books by Ali Hazelwood, who is another author who I was kind of like, okay, maybe she's not for me. I've read one book by her and I didn't like it, but this totally changed my mind. I don't know, it just really, really worked for me, and I love Bee and Levi with my whole heart. The next book that I read was a buddy read with my friend Lachlan over at Locke's Library. I will have her link down below. We decided to read My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Mossveg. This is an interesting book. If you don't know what it is about, it doesn't really have like a major plot, but basically we're following our main character. She decides that she just like does not want to deal with the world, with life, and so she plans to sleep for essentially an entire year. And that's literally what this book is about. She goes to a therapist and basically lies about her symptoms so that she can get just enough medication to make her sleep without killing her, I think. And we sort of watch her life leading up to when she decides to go into this full kind of hibernation mode, and we meet one of her friends, and we just kind of follow her day to day. This book has no plot. Okay, this book does not have a plot, so if you are interested in this book, know that going into it. It's very much just like following her through this time in her life. The main character is extremely unlikable. I will say though, I did give this book 4 stars. I thought it was fascinating. Also, this book is satire, and it's kind of satire and a commentary on just like very privileged people. I found it super fascinating and super interesting. I wasn't rooting for anyone in this book, but I still found the reading experience very enjoyable. I don't know. I can't say why I liked this book. I found it to be funny. I found it to be cringe. I found these people to be terrible, but sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need something so different. I've never read a book like this, but I don't know. I was entertained. This book was weird, but I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. I can't quite explain why I enjoyed this so much. This book is also being turned into a movie, and Emma Stone is going to be starring in it, and I think that'll be really, really fun. It'll be so interesting to see how they adapt this to screen, but regardless, this. I enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I think if you go into it knowing it's satire, you'll have a good time. All right, and the last book that I read in the month of September was The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This is the first book in the Remnant Chronicles. This is a YA fantasy series. I feel like you could almost say it's YA fantasy romance because there is a love triangle that is at the forefront of this plot. Our main character is Princess Leia, the first daughter of Morrigan, and we open the novel with her on her wedding day. She is being forced into an arranged marriage for political gain, and she really does not want to marry this prince. She's never met him. She's not excited about this, and she wants to escape. So that's exactly what she does. Her and her friend Pauline, right before the wedding is about to start, book it. They get on horses and they run away. They end up going to Terravan, which is where Pauline is from. They kind of work as like barmaids or servers, and they're just ready to start a new life. And Leah is ready to just be a regular person, abdicate from her role as princess, and live a new life. Meanwhile, 2 men are on the hunt for Princess Leia. One of them is the prince who she left at the altar, essentially. He has never met her, but he's dying to find out who is this princess, who was his supposed bride, who left him at the altar without even meeting him. So he sets out to find her. And then another person who was looking for her is an assassin. So because Leah was going to be marrying this prince for political gain and aligning these 2 kingdoms, there's another group, the Venda, who are not happy about this potential political alliance. And so they see an opportunity once everyone hears that Princess Leia has run away, that they can go and kill Princess Leia to stop any future alliance. This assassin sets out to look for her and hopefully kill her before she ever goes back to the kingdom, if that is what she decides to do. But of course, both of these men start to fall for her. Leah has no idea who they are, but slowly things start to unravel and feelings get involved, and it's very, very fun. I absolutely loved this book. This is such a good classic YA fantasy. I found the love triangle to be really, really fun. I really liked Leah. I really liked Pauline, who was her friend that she runs away with. I felt this book was so enjoyable from the first page. I really like this author's writing style. She wrote Dance of Thieves, which I think is her more popular title, but I believe she wrote this first. This book came out in 2014, so this is an old series, but I was very, very excited. My friends Cami and Hannah told me that I should pick this up. They both really enjoyed it, and 100% I love this book. I'm so excited to continue on with the trilogy and see what happens, and I don't know. I just love this book so much. I recommend it so much if you like YA fantasy. I gave this 4 stars. I did almost contemplate giving it 5 stars, but I heard that the second book is even better, so I'm kind of just gonna wait and see how I feel, but this book was excellent and such a good way to end my reading month. All right, everyone, so that is it. That is the end of my September wrap-up. If you made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave a fall emoji, like one of the fall leaves, as fall is officially here. As always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked down below. You are welcome to follow me on there at any time. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you're having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.